The top 10 Xbox Series X delisted games. These are games you can no longer get digitally, but maybe in some ways you could still play them today, and we'll be going over that with each of the 10 offerings here. So be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well. So this was a very recent delisting as of the time of doing this. Battlefield Bad Company 2, along with its predecessor, 1943. If you do still have the disc for either the Bad Companies, you can throw that in. If you already owned it digitally, you can still enjoy it today and hopefully going forward in the future. The multiplayer is gone, but the campaign and the single player stuff is still present and still well worth diving into, as these Battlefields featured a really good, well-crafted story to them. They were just kind of a lot of fun about destruction, blowing things up. But yes, Battlefield Bad Company 2 in particular was a real gem and is still a very fun game to play, even if the online is gone. Here is Transformers War for Cybertron. This game was about as perfect as it's going to get for a Transformers game. You know, there was also War for Cybertron, which was absolutely excellent as well. But this experience was briefly available digitally during the Xbox One era, and it's still playable today, but only if you had bought it digitally during the short window of time that this one was available. It was technically a remaster, but it was more of just a straight kind of port with some, kind of stutter bugs and then a slightly improved resolution. So it wasn't a mind-blowing upgrade over the original version, but hey, I still get to play it today, and it's still an absolute gem, and one of the best Transformers games ever created, and actually really, really great. The multiplayer is no longer functioning, same with like the escalation mode, but the single player is still an excellent experience, and such a great time. This is a gem of a game. Just like Forza Horizon 3. So basically the first few Horizons are all gone, but Horizon 3 really was just a gem. If you have the disc, you can put it in and play it today, which is excellent, and if you owned it digitally, you can continue to enjoy this title. But yeah, you get to hit the open roads of Australia, and it's gorgeous. It still holds up so well. This game is just absolutely beautiful. I wish they still could make some of these older Horizon games available. I know the licensing with cars and music and everything like that is a nightmare, but each of the Horizon games has such a distinct level of flair and style to it. And I think Horizon 3 in particular just has such a majestic landscape, such an encapturing scene, and it's massive too. It was very impressive for its time. The game still, like I said, is just gorgeous to take in as you just drive across this vast space having a great time, and all the online features are still connected and going, and it's wonderful. Just like what's wonderful about our quirky, weird pal, I guess you would say, Deadpool. So this is another case where you needed to own the Xbox One version of the game, and you can still enjoy it at this current point in time. It is recommended, though, that you play this, I guess, offline, since that does remove, like, this weird stutter effect. So because this game is strangely, I guess, reliant to some degree on online servers and whatnot, that creates a weird stutter in it. But yeah, this is another one, kind of like Transformers, where it is a bit of a remastering of sorts from that original version. It was just kind of quickly put up before the license and whatnot was pulled. And like with Transformers, I do kind of hope that these games become available again in the near future. We'll have to wait and see if that does happen. But yeah, Deadpool, fun single-player story, crazy character, weird moments right from the comics, pretty well adapted, and just a blast to play. Like with Lego Lord of the Rings. So this is the trilogy of the Lord of the Rings brought to life in Lego. I think it's literally the only one that's actually delisted, probably due to a combination of using the literal audio lines from the movie, well, the movies, the 3 movies in this game, and then maybe music or some other issues or something like that. But yeah, it's a shame, as you get to enjoy something that captures the magic of the Lord of the Rings trilogy of films, but in a Lego format with all the humor and style and charm. And then it's also got like an open world setup where you can explore, well, Middle Earth and then see all of these iconic places at your leisure, which I think is really, really quite cool. So at this point, you do need to have the disc to play this. I'm not sure if it was digitally available, but yeah, if you have the disc, you can still enjoy this experience It's actually quite fun and really well crafted, and I mean, it's a Lego game, so it's going to be great, right? Great as Fear. So this is another one where you need the disc to be able to play it at this point. I don't believe it was ever available digitally. This is the original entry in the Fear series, so a first-person shooter with supernatural, horrific elements that scare you and cause terror as you try to survive and blast your way through a variety of environments and scenarios in order to figure out what exactly is going on. Sorry, the little bump there with the gun kind of gave me a little chuckle. And you deal with this lady that's causing some problems, this young lady, and it's a bit creepy, it's a bit messed up. It's definitely like, you know, a shooter game of its time. But yeah, it's a pretty cool experience. It's still one that I think holds up in a number of distinct ways even today, in terms of like just its design and the way it presents these psychologically scary setups and scenes. It's cool. As cool as the Amazing Spider-Man 2. So this is a situation where you can have either the Xbox One disc or have bought it digitally on Xbox One at the time, and you can still enjoy it today. Now, this might be a bit of a weird choice, as there are other really great delisted titles, but I mean, it's the only Spider-Man game we have available until maybe something happens in that regard down the road. Would be pretty cool. But yeah, for now, the only magic of Spider-Man you can enjoy is the Amazing Spider-Man 2, which you might think is a tie-in to the movie, and it kind of is, but it also really sort of does its own thing as well, in regards to, you know, the character and the world and kind of the story and the villains and what happens and whatnot. It ties into the movie to some degree, but it does sort of have its own vibe. And, you know, it's a full Spider-Man adventure, an open world, a neat little Easter egg if you're into a particular creator, and yeah, Spider-Man. But you know what's even cooler? King Kong! No, seriously, Peter Jackson's King Kong is an incredible experience. It's only available via the disc. I don't believe it was ever digitally available, but yeah, this is an absolute gem of a game. It may sound like a silly concept, but this was actually really oversaw by, like, Peter Jackson came in. It's got voice work from the actual actors of the movie. It's like a survival thriller, narrative-driven adventure, and it's still visually fairly impressive even today. You get to play as Kong, and Kong has like a true sense of weighting to the environment, a true sense of craziness, and it's a bit of a horror game too. But you get to play as Kong, you get to play as a regular person, kind of going in this world too. And yeah, Peter Jackson's King Kong, the video game, is actually really, really well done. If there was like a weird pick to get remastered, this would probably be one of my choosings. It's so good, just as good as Left 4 Dead 2. Yeah, if you have the disc for Left 4 Dead 1 or 2, you can plop that in and still play it today. It was available digitally at a time, but you can no longer grab it. And yeah, you can enjoy the magic of, well, Left 4 Dead on the platform. It's not necessarily at the same degree of level as we see with the PC version, and it's kind of like almost a bit of a time capsule, some would say. But visually, quite good looking. It plays well. It's still that cooperative action that you probably loved back in the day. It had the DLC with it at the time. And yeah, it's just kind of really cool to be able to play Left 4 Dead 2, or even the first one, on the platform, if that's something that's still available to you, a zombie cooperative survival game. And you can also run into people online still, which is rather fascinating to say the least. And it's a very, very well done game that I think is a ton of fun to play, and it's just got endless replayability with it as well, which is surprising. Just as surprising as the orange box, which includes very, very iconic games. So this is one, if you have the disc, you can still play it today. If you had bought it digitally, you can still enjoy it as well. It's no longer available. You get to have the full scope of Half-Life 2. You get the original Portal. You get Team Fortress 2, which is strangely still played by people today, but very, very rarely. I do want to highlight that particular element of it. But yeah, you get, you know, the iconic way to play Half-Life on console, since that's not something we've had for a very, very long time. Come on, Valve, throw us a bone and, you know, give us a Half-Life 2 remaster, like, come on. And, you know, the original Portal, which is available by itself too, kind of. And yeah, it's a really great ultimate compilation package, and it's fantastic. It's really worth playing if you can get your hands on it. It's really great. And again, liking the video is great, subscribing is great as well, and I hope you enjoyed this look at Delisted and Gone games.